Hello and welcome to BlueTube, where we talk all things blue. Today I'm going to be reviewing the match against West Brom Albion, and of course we came out with our first win in, believe it or not, 2.5 months. Yep, just take it in. The last time we won a football game as a club was on the 2nd of June in our postseason tour against Thailand XI, I think, or was it Sydney? Sydney 11, something like that. It wasn't a postseason game. 2nd of June. It has been 2.5 months, almost 3 months to be fair. And we finally won a game. So you know what? I don't care if our defense was bad. I don't care about any of these things because we got the 3 points and I'm happy that we won. But of course, I will be getting more in depth to it, but let me start off by giving you the Chelsea starting 11. And boom! Magic. Here is the 11 that we started off with Courtois in goal. And by the way, I think I said Begovic was out for 3 games last time, but actually, because it wasn't violent conduct, he was only out, Courtois was only out for 1 game because it wasn't violent conduct. And Mourinho said in his press conference, even though Begovic played very, very well in City, Courtois is our main man, so he's back on the starting 11. And I think we all really wanted to see Baba Rahman get a start. Of course, we stuck with our back four. I mean, we didn't stick with our back four because Kurt Zouma came on, but we stuck with our fullbacks, Azpilicueta and Ivanovic. I'll talk more about Ivanovic in a little bit. And of course, Zouma came on. He started actually instead of Gary Cahill, and I think it was more because Gary Cahill broke his nose, and he had to wear that mask when he came on. When JT got red carded, and I'll talk about that later as well. So much to talk about today. And of course the top 5 or top 6 players, and by that I mean the midfield and the striker, were pretty much the same, except for the fact that Pedro started instead of Ramirez, because of course Ramirez started against Manchester City, and actually Ramirez wasn't even on the bench today. So, and by the way, Cuadrado wasn't on the bench as well. So, that kind of tells you, could a deal with Pogba be on the way? Who knows? I'll talk more about that later as well. And I'll talk more about Pedro as well. And I'll just talk more about everyone later. There's just so much to talk about. But I feel like the first thing I should just go in chronological order of the game. And so the first thing that really happened in the game was Matic giving away a penalty to Morrison. Or it wasn't to Morrison, it was against McManaman. And by the way, McManaman was just amazing. He was running around everywhere. He was insane. But McManaman doing some skills, doing some some changing directions, whatever you do. And Matic, Azpilicueta had him, and Matic just comes out of nowhere and makes the clumsiest tackle you'll see this season. And it's no doubt that's a penalty. When I saw that, and let me tell you right now, if we had conceded that penalty, I think that wasn't let me just make sure. I think it was in like the 11th minute or something. Where is my cursor? Yes, it was in the 14th minute. If they had scored that goal then, it was 0-0. If they scored that penalty, this could have been a completely different story. It could have been another draw or another loss, and Chelsea yet again coming away, not with the 3 points that they need. It could have been that, but Courtois, just a beast. He dives, but he just kicks it with his leg. He's just a beast. Courtois, Begovic, he's great. But Courtois is just amazing. So yeah, Matic. I want to talk more about Matic and Fabregas, but especially Matic a bit later. But he did give away a penalty. It was a clear penalty. But then after that, Chelsea kind of woke up. They said, you know what? We want to win this game. So let's go and do it. And then Pedro, on his debut, he scored, I wouldn't say a sensational goal, but a great goal. Or, more than great goal. It was a pretty good goal. You should go watch the highlights, by the way, if you haven't seen the game. What he did was, he kind of did this 1-2 with Hazard, and just slotted it, he just squeezed it into that right-hand post, in that bottom right-hand corner. And that kind of was a sign of the Pedro and Hazard link. And that kind of excites me. That really, really, that genuinely excites me. I think throughout the season, when they're both, really on form. I think Hazard, by the way, he was great today as well. I think he's really getting back to his best. But I think when Pedro and Hazard get to their best, get to that top form, they're going to be scary. They're really, really going to be scary. And Willian, he was good as well. But I think, when, I think Oscar plays that number 10 role a bit better for me. He kind of moves the ball a bit quicker, one or two touch passing. And I think when Oscar comes and he gets back to his best as well, Hazard, Oscar, and Pedro, that could be, a really, really frightening trio. That could be the new Hazard, Oscar, and Mata. If you guys remember, when Mata was here and we had, the three musketeers as we called them, they were incredible. And I think this could be a new, triad, a new partnership, to go through the season. And that's something to watch out for. So after Pedro scored his goal, I can't remember, was it? Yeah, Diego Costa. Diego Costa, did he play that well today? He got on the score sheet. He scored a good goal. Let's not deny that. He did make some good runs. I still think he's a bit off of where he was last season. In fact, he's still, quite a distance off where he was last season. And he's still looking strong, he's looking fast, but just his ball, the way he... And to be fair, he did assist Azpilicueta's goal, and he got on the score sheet. So I can't say he had a bad game. He's definitely an improvement from Swansea and City. I do think he can still improve. But that second goal, again, a Pedro assist. And Pedro, you might have seen this all over the news today, Pedro dream debut, and it really was. He was sensational. And what was really interesting to see was that, their defense couldn't just put 5 men on Hazard as people would actually do to us before. Because we're attacking from both flanks now, and we're a genuine threat on the left-hand side with Hazard, but also on the right-hand side with Pedro. So, that kind of asks more questions at their defense and how they line up against us. And that gives Hazard a bit more freedom, a bit more space to move around, and he could be increasingly dangerous as the season goes on. Pedro, again, getting on the assist sheet, not on the score sheet, but he did assist Diego Costa's goal. And then West Bromwich Albion comes in with a goal, and it was actually, if you watch the whole, passage of play, it's really Ivanovic who gave away the goal. His positional awareness wasn't very good. He just got played around. The guy ran down the line. Ivanovic didn't have the pace. Put in the cross. Rondon does a weird bicycle kick thing to get it to Morrison, and Morrison, quality finish. And I wouldn't say Courtois is to blame, because he was being obstructed by a West Brom player and by Gary Cahill. He couldn't really see him, and Morrison had a really, really good strike. It was a really powerful low strike, which is very, very hard for keepers to get, especially when your vision is obstructed. So I wouldn't blame Courtois for that. But who I would blame is Ivanovic. And has his time come? I did make a video about him before, about 2 weeks ago, and my views on him have changed. Back then I protected him. I said, he's still one of the best right backs in the Premier League. He deserves a spot on that starting 11. What he lacks in pace, he makes up in his strength. But you know what? The last 3 games, we've conceded at least 1 goal in every single game because of Ivanovic's lack of pace. And that's worrying. That really, really is worrying. And, I would have loved to see Baba Rahman get a start this game and Azpilicueta moving to the right. In fact, I expect Baba Rahman to get a start against Crystal Palace next week, because I think, Mourinho, he's very loyal to his players, especially, to players like Ivanovic, like veterans who's been at the club for a long time. They know what it takes to win. Mourinho values that kind of trait and characteristic in a player. But Mourinho also wants to win every game, and I think he has to come to the realization that Ivanovic just isn't good enough to start every week at that starting 11, at least for now. Who knows, as the season goes on, he could, get back to full fitness, and he could just be sprinting all over the place, and, just making tackles like a beast that he was last season. But for now, for next week, I'd really, really, really like to see Baba Rahman get a start, and Azpilicueta shift to the right-hand side. And speaking of Azpilicueta, what a goal! Azpilicueta, or Dave as you may know him, he scored his first ever Premier League goal for Chelsea, and I'm very, very, very happy for him. I think that's his second goal for the club, as a whole. He scored one against Arsenal last season in the Capital One Cup, one of the early rounds of the Capital One Cup, or was it the season before? I don't know. And this is his first goal in the Premier League today, and it was Diego Costa who actually did some brilliant forward play. It was a long ball from, I can't remember who, but Diego Costa shields it with his chest and gives it to Azpilicueta, but he still had a lot to do. And credit to Dave, it was a good shot into that bottom left corner, and we're all very, very happy for Dave. I mean, who doesn't love Dave? Come on. So it was almost an instant response. It was within 2 or 3 minutes of Morrison scoring. So we were 3-1 up at halftime, and everything was looking good. You know, we're gonna, you know, be a beast. We're gonna just destroy this game. We're gonna, you know, but no. When did they score? 59th minute. Yes. Basically, it stayed 3-1 until the 59th minute, and Morrison gets another goal. And really, you know, I may be biased because I love Courtois, but I really don't think Courtois could have done anything. Because the goal, if you see the goal, you'll see it's really a goal that you'll see every, you know, few seasons. It's a very rare breed of goal. Someone crossed it in, basically. Morrison kind of, there's a weird thing. You'll know what I'm talking about if you watch the highlights. And it's a really, really hard technique to do. It's very difficult to score like that. So credit to Morrison. He gets under it and scoops it up. So the ball kind of rises and dips over Courtois. Just watch the highlights. But great goal to him. You know, full credit to him. Courtois couldn't have done anything. I wouldn't blame Courtois for that goal. So then the game went to 3-2, and the dynamics of the game just completely changed. West Brom was on the offense. Chelsea, you know, they weren't on the offense. To be fair, Chelsea did play pretty well. They kept creating chances. Hazard had a really good chance at the game as well. He missed. By the way, Willian in the first half, Pedro put it on a play for him. Willian missed. As I said, Willian didn't have a bad game. He had a pretty good game. But you know, I just like to see him get on the score sheet more and, you know, make more use of the chances that he gets. I feel like he's just not clinical enough just yet. But you know, back to the second half. So you know, West Brom, you know, you could see the momentum shifting, and then the red card happens. Very, very controversial. In fact, actually, I don't think it's very controversial. You know, at the time that it happened, I was not happy. And even on Twitter, I posted typical of Clattenburg, because, you know, if you guys know, Mark Clattenburg and Chelsea have a history. You know, I thought, you know, we've been robbed. And, you know, JT, he did get a red card, if you guys don't know. And I think also, because it wasn't a violent conduct, I think it'll be a 1-match ban. So hopefully he'll be back for the Everton game and the Arsenal game. If it is a 3-match ban, he'd be missing Palace, Everton, and Arsenal, which is really when we need our captain, leader, legend. But, you know, seeing the replays, you know, he did kind of tug Rondon's arm. You know, it was a tactical foul, but he was the last man there, so I think the referee did make the right decision. By the way, Rondon was great today. He was causing problems for us, you know, left, right, and center. But, you know, they did get a free kick for that. They didn't really make anything out of it, but, you know, we were down to 10 men, and Willian had to come off, and Gary Cahill comes on with his Batman mask that Fabregas wore last season. Yeah, so he came on, we were down to 10 men, and really, it was all about West Brom from then. You know, we had the occasional counter, but West Brom, they had the initiative, they had the chances. To be fair, we defended pretty well. I think, really, in the last 20 minutes, Kurt Zuma and Gary Cahill stepped up. They, you know, Rondon was really not toying with them, but he was kind of dominating Kurt Zuma throughout the whole game. But then the last 20 minutes, the instinctive beast within Zuma came out, and Gary Cahill, and they were just heading balls, they were a wall. And whatever came to Rondon, even I remember once Zuma just jumped and his legs were on the same height as Rondon's head. And you guys will know what I'm talking about. Zuma can sometimes, you know, pull that off. He can jump. He has an incredible leap on him. So they were just, you know, Gary Cahill and Zuma were very, very good in the last 20 minutes. And of course, what just happened? No! You know what? Yeah. They were very, very good. What was I saying? Yeah. We didn't give Rondon another sniff at goal, and we bring on the Lord Mikel to close off the game. And you know, when Mikel comes on, we're not gonna concede, and we didn't, and that's how the game ended. So it was, you know, all in all, we did look, you know, a bit weak in the defense. We conceded 2, of course, and you know, we probably could have conceded more. Of course, there was a penalty that they missed. It could have been a completely different story if they hadn't. But, I'm glad with the 3 points. And what we really needed, I think what Chelsea needed above all was just to get that first win. So we can build on it. And hopefully we can get a win against Crystal Palace as well. And build some momentum. Give the players some renewed hope, some spirit, some motivation. And I think what's crucial is the 2 games against Everton and Arsenal. Those are going to be tough. They're going to really test us. And that's when we're really going to get an indication of where we are with our team, with our squad, and how we're going to do, I think, throughout the rest of the season. By then, we really should be back at our match fitness. In fact, Mourinho himself has repeatedly said, the Premier League season has started early this year, and our preseason hasn't been very good. So we're not at our full fitness yet, but by September, he expects us to be back at that top level, and hopefully we are. Of course, the Crystal Palace game is at the 30th of August, I think. Hopefully we're back at our fitness then, but if we're not, by Everton, we really should be. And let me just talk more about some individual players. I talked about Ivanovic in our defense, but I want to talk about JT. And, a lot of people have been saying, JT, his time has come, he's too slow. It's time for him to go. As much as it breaks our hearts, he can't be in that starting 11. We're going to buy John Stones, or we're going to buy Varane, and actually, I'll talk about this more extensively in tomorrow's transfer talk. But we apparently made an inquiry to Real Madrid for Varane. I guess that's a plan B for John Stones, but I'll talk about it later. Talk about it tomorrow. But a lot of people are saying it's time for JT, to go on the bench. And you know what? I think that's ridiculous. I think that's a ridiculous claim. He is, let's not deny it. He's getting old. He's getting slower. It's just a fact. Physically, as you get older, you don't have the legs on you. But for a player, who's as good as Terry, who has that, awareness of, where the ball is, of where the players are, or, of where he has that game awareness that very few players have. And that's what distinguishes him as one of the best center backs in the world. Or at least last season, he was definitely one of the best center backs in the world. And he just has that game, he just has that game knowledge, and he just knows how the game works. And he's really that leader, and this is a quality that, I think Gary Cahill and Kurt Zouma lack, that leadership quality, commanding the box, building a line, telling, building a line basically, and just commanding the players, knowing, where everybody is, and setting up a solid structure. That's something only JT can do. That's why he's our captain, leader, legend, and I don't see that going anywhere. Any rumors of him going away on a transfer this season is completely ridiculous. Next season, who knows? It depends how he does this season. But I do think he's gonna play he's gonna play an integral role this season. Maybe not like last season, because last season he played every single minute of every single Premier League game. This season, I don't see him playing every game. In fact, he's got a red card, so he can't play every game. But I do think that it's a transitionary season. I do think that whoever we buy, John Stones or Varane, I think it's going to be time for Kurt Zouma and whoever we get and Gary Cahill to really make a statement for themselves. And, let's not deny it. JT probably next season won't be in that starting 11, I think this season is really the last season, as much as it hurts me to say. I think it's his last season to be really, fighting, to be in that starting 11 week in, week out. Maybe not week in, week out, but on a consistent basis. And next season, it's really going to be all about Zouma, Cahill, and whoever we sign. So, next season, it could be a different story, but this season, I don't see JT going anywhere. I do see him playing an important role in our squad. And, any rumors of him going away are ridiculous. Any rumors of Mourinho thinking that he's over is ridiculous, because JT is still a quality player. And let's talk about Matic now, who is in front of JT, in front of Cahill, in front of Zouma. And really, I've been really I've been really, trying to analyze what the problem is with our defense. And one of them is pace. And this is why a lot of people are questioning JT, because of his lack of pace. But I think, having someone like Zouma and Cahill next to him, that'll kind of make up for it. And as a center back, if pace isn't something you need as much as Ivanovic, and I do think as soon as Ivanovic gets off the pitch, as soon as we put Baba Rahman in there, our defense will look so much better. Really, I genuinely believe that. But I just couldn't find that one problem in our defense. So I kind of look at the bigger picture, and what I think is happening is our defense is looking bad because our defensive midfield is looking bad. Because Matic is looking terrible. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it. He's not looking good at all. He's making clumsy fouls. After they gave away that penalty, just like 5 minutes later, he made another clumsy challenge, which could have got him a second yellow, in another game. And he's not looking good. He's not looking as solid, nowhere near as solid as he was last season. And whenever he gets the ball, he's very, very slow with it. Last season, when he gets the ball, he'll look forward. He'll try to make that long ball to Hazard or, and if he couldn't, he'd make the sensible ball back. But when he gets the ball now, he just stands there for like 10 seconds, just looking around at the world, contemplating the meaning of life. And then he's like, oh, there's Fabregas, let me give it to him. And then he just slows down the play. He can't pick intelligent passes as he did last season. And defensively, he's just gone. I'm not, I shouldn't say that. He's not gone. But he's just nowhere near where he was last season. And if you remember last season, the pundits were crazy over Matic. They were saying Matic is the glue that holds our team together. And I think that's really being shown this season. Because Matic isn't nearly as effective as he was last season, our entire team is looking a shambles, and our defense especially is suffering a lot because they don't have that wall of, they don't have Matic covering them as he did last season. And of course, Fabregas was never known for his defensive capabilities, but last season, Matic kind of made up for it. But, this season, he's not looking up to it. Hopefully, it's just a match fitness thing. Hopefully, in 1 or 2 weeks' time, he'll be back there. He'll, be as sticky as ever. That's a weird thing to say, but he will be that glue again. And apparently, guys, I actually read somewhere that Mourinho apparently told Abramovich after the game ended that we need Pogba. And this is reminiscent of Man City. After Man City game, he called Pedro. He said, yo, are you free? Come to us. Hopefully it's another story like that. Hopefully Pogba is on our way. And as I said, Ramirez and Cuadrado left out of the squad, left off the bench. Maybe it's, just a sign of good things to come. Let me just leave it there. And who else should I talk? Let's talk about Fabregas as well. As I said, he's not really, he does play in the defensive role. He does play in a deeper lying role. And he hasn't ever been, famous for his defensive brilliance. But going forward, he's been phenomenal last season. He's made incredible assists, concise, quick one-touch passes, and that's what really defined him as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League last season. But this season, he's just not up to it. He's not up to it. He's left his magic hat. He's lost it in the laundry. I don't know what it is, guys. I really, really don't know what it is. Of course, the second half of last season, he didn't play good as well. And I guess it was a sign of things to come. But historically speaking, ever since he was at Arsenal, through his time at Barcelona and his first season at Chelsea, he's always had a really, really, phenomenal first half of the season and a quiet second half. So I thought it could just be something like that last season. And hopefully this season he'll be back to his best right from the beginning. But that's not true. And I do think, Pogba, even if we don't get Pogba, guys, I do think we need another deeper lying midfielder. Someone like Witsel, someone like Busquets. I don't think Busquets is going to leave. I'm just saying, I think he'd be great. Someone like Witsel, even if we don't get Pogba. Of course, Pogba is ideal. But we do need another player there because of the inconsistencies of Matic and Fabregas, because their ineffectiveness so far this season. And in Europe, if we play like this, we're going to get trampled by the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich. If our defense and our midfield are this fragile, are this unstable, is that a word? Unstable, we're just going to get trampled on. So, as I said, I hope this is a match fitness thing. I'll just see how I think, as I said, we'll really get a good indication of where we're at and where our squad is and where our team is at the Everton and Arsenal game. Those two games are really going to define who we are and what we're going to do this season. So I won't make any, full judgments on any players until then. But hopefully they do get better soon. In fact, I hope he does play well against Crystal Palace next week. And I think this is a long video. I don't know how long this has been. I think I pretty much covered every player there. Hazard, I think I talked about him briefly, but let me just expand on it. Brilliant. I think Hazard, just when he touches the ball, last season and the season before, he's had that magic about him. That when he touches the ball, you just feel like he's gonna do something. And the first 1 or 2 games of this season, he hasn't had that. This preseason, he definitely hasn't had that. But yesterday's game, he showed that he still has that. And the way he just dribbles the ball, the way he moves with the ball, the way the ball sticks to his foot, it's kind of messy like the way he dribbles. And that's a huge compliment. I think he's brilliant. And by the way, the reason I'm scratching my arm, and by the way, there's a red mark here, and my face might be like deformed, it's because I've been attacked by mosquitoes, but that's getting off the point. What was I talking about? Hazard, yes, I do think he's getting back to his best. And really, Pedro, he's looked phenomenal. He's hit the ground running. Of course, he did play for Barcelona earlier as well. He scored that winning goal in that Super Cup final. So he's hit the ground running. And when Hazard gets to his best, and when Pedro, if he continues his form, we're gonna look frightening. And hopefully, Costa wakes up as well. And the thing with Costa is, he didn't play a bad game, but he does this one thing that really annoys me. He gets the ball in a midfield position, and there's players like Hazard and Pedro saying, "Pass the ball to me," but Diego's like, "Nope," and he just dribbles the ball into the corner. He runs as fast as he can. To be fair, he dribbles well. But he gets to the corner, and then the defender just takes the ball, and then the defender just takes the ball off him. And we just don't get anywhere. So what I'd love to see from Diego is if he gets the ball in that midfield area, pass it on to Hazard and just run up and be in that box. Then be in that box to finish the chance off. But all in all, I'm very, very happy with today's game. I'm very, very happy with the 3 points. Finally, we have won a game, our first in 2.5 months. Hopefully, we can, continue this form. We can hopefully get back-to-back wins. By beating Crystal Palace on Saturday, but I'll talk more about that when Saturday comes. As I said, tomorrow I'll be back with a transfer talk, and there's loads to talk about because I didn't make a video yesterday, and of course I'm not making a transfer talk today. And there's Kennedy signing, there's our inquiry for Varane, the whole Pogba situation. So tune in tomorrow for all of that. But that kind of sums up my match review of today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I know, I'm sure all of you are very happy with the 3 points, but our defense is a bit concerning. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you think you can, continue our form, beat Crystal Palace, and how you think our defense is gonna fare against the likes of Everton and Arsenal when the time does come. But that kind of wraps up the video for today. Thanks for watching, and stay blue.